Welcome to Beyond the Red Carpet. My guest today is a friend and colleague, Meg Mimura, and she is bilingual, and you'll hear her story. But welcome, Meg. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is such an honor.
Well, we are both members of the Television Critics Association, and that's how we met. And
Yes.
I was very impressed because you always get there early. You're always at the front so that you don't miss anything. And you are so conscientious about your work. And I just really, really applaud that. So let's start at the beginning. Let's give the viewers some background on you. You were born in Japan.
Right.
And how old were you when you came to the United States, and what brought you here?
I worked in Japan for about 10 years, and I didn't see any future for women. And my possibilities getting narrower and narrower as I get older. And I said, I'm out of here. And so I came here when I was in my late 20s.
And I know you had other things prior to being a journalist. So how did you get into that? And tell us how you got your what you call now your dream job, and you have referred to it as your dream job.
Well, this is my fifth career, I should say. But the first really creative job, and I personally think it's my calling, because I get every time I write, I heal myself, and
it's very cathartic, because I know when I write, you get things out, and you're a little different kind of a writer. You write from your heart. I edit a lot of your
right
for other things, and you do write from your heart. So
thank you.
It is a cathartic
yes
form for you. Yes,
it sure is. It sure is, because all my life everybody told me what to do, what not to do, and this is the only job I ever had that I can be on my own and think for myself and create from nothing. And I find it really cathartic and very healing to me. That's why it always comes from my heart. And I only write about shows that spoke to me and touched me in different ways, of course. So I'm always looking for thought-provoking, paradigm-shifting human drama. That's what I always go for, because if I don't see myself in any character, I just don't care. So that's my philosophy.
There are a lot of shows out there that a lot of people don't care about these days. I mean, wouldn't you agree that the television, even though there are so many formats with streaming, and the television is not, it doesn't have that special depth that it used to have.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are just too many of them, and the streaming services are just cranking out whatever. And it just saddens me that they don't really, I mean, some of the shows that I truly love are like, they all come from heart. And I saw characters grow into something different. And that's what I kind of latch onto. Mm-hmm. And some spiritual shows, like I loved Joan of Arcadia. That's one of my favorite shows. So yeah, I agree with you. We're losing all kinds of, I don't know, thought-provoking, paradigm shifting. I
Yeah, they're
agree.
just cranking them out for streaming
Yeah,
services now. And with
yeah,
COVID, that kind of adds a little bit of problems to the industry because they can't get a lot of things created and produced now. But they're starting to wind up now. I see Hallmark Channel is starting their shows. But how did you land your dream job? I mean, was there anything that brought you specifically to this?
um, when I moved up here, I went through a divorce and I needed a big change. I wanted to change everything about me. And so I thought, well, I've always wanted to work in Hollywood. Why not? I mean, this is probably my opportunity, the only opportunity I have. And so I started working. I mean, I moved up here and then I talked to my career counselor. And after all those sessions, she thought I would be perfect for publicist because I'm bilingual and bicultural. So she thought I can work in the international area. So I took, she suggested that I took a UCLA extension class, and it was entertainment public relations class. And the second class I attended, I realized, oh, wait a minute. Publicist is like a lawyer. You have to defend it whether you like it or not. And it's just not in my nature to lie about shows that I don't really care. And
we both know that publicists are, I don't want to make anybody upset, but they're full of themselves to some degree. They want to run everything. They want to take
right.
over. And that makes you have to be a kind of a special person to be able to be that gung-ho and do it, even if it's something that you don't believe in.
Yeah, I agree. And I said, I can't do that. So I immediately made a course correction, and I've always loved writing. So I studied all the Japanese publications published here in LA. And I checked every one of them, and each one of them had film critics of its own, but not a single TV critic. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, there's an opening. And that's how I realized that that's the way to go.
That's great. And you found a niche that was not there, and you just went and filled it.
Yeah. And once I decided what I wanted to do, then it feels like everything just fell into place. And I met a veteran critic, and I said, I'll buy you lunch. Can you tell me how to be a TV critic? And so he opened so many doors for me. And he was the one who introduced me to the Television Critics Association.
Well, we're a nice group. I mean, we help each other out, unlike other businesses. I mean, we look out for each other, and if somebody needs some help, we're there. I mean, we have, because we know that sometime we're going to need some help, or we need to place an article that can't be placed where we usually go, so we go to our friends, and so I think we're a pretty good group.
That's maybe old timers.
The old timers. Well, not bloggers. The bloggers are a group unto themselves. But the old time, maybe even print dinosaurs.
Yes, I agree. I met some really, really terrific people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so you write for Japanese outlets. Do you write? Now, this is interesting to me because we barely touched on this in the pre-interview, but do you write in English and then translate it into Japanese, or vice versa? or do you write both at the same time, or how does that work for you?
It depends on when it's coming out, and also I always check whether there's a hint of this new show coming up in Japan, because if it's not going to launch it, 2 years until like a year down the road, it's probably too early to write about it. So, but most of the time, I think it's easier to write in English first, and then write a more elaborate version in Japanese, because I have to explain so many things that they have no idea. Like, for instance, they don't know what woke mean.
Really?
Yeah, they don't. So I have to explain that word and then start from there. Or like I have to go into details how the Me Too movement started. So it's more. It usually takes about 3 to 4 times longer to explain the same show in Japanese.
And do the Japanese people, do they like the same things we do, or do they have a completely different, but their pleasure is in watching television? What turns them on?
I think they're still looking for the next Sex and the City.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They have their favorites. I mean, old-time favorites. And they're always looking for something similar to like Beverly Hills 90210 or Sex and the City. What else do they like? OC.
Oh, the OC.
Yeah, the OC. That kind of shows. So it's a whole different market, and all the golden age has already passed. We had like when Desperate Housewives lost Grey's Anatomy, when ABC had all those 3 shows, they were crazy about it. But after that, I think they kind of lost interest.
When we're at our panels and the networks bring on one after another of their upcoming shows, do you have an inkling as to what's going to play well in Japan, or you just kind of think, I don't know what's going to happen with this over there?
No, I've been pitched by many publicists that this has some Asian flares in it, or not necessarily Japanese. And I always turn it down because when I look at it, it's like, yeah, it's really not authentic. This is the Asian flair, Americans' version of Asian flair. And so I usually don't go for that. And no, I don't even think about what would go well in Japan. I just look at shows, and if they speak to me, that's the one that I want to write about, because I want to know more. I want to pick the show creator's brain. That's my favorite thing to do. How did you come up with the idea? That's my,
Yes, you're very passionate, because like I said, I do edit some of your articles for for a magazine, and you are really passionate about what you love. You really are, and you can explain it so well to the readers. So
thank you.
You have a way of picking out some little, what we might think is insignificant element, and just expanding on that. And so I'm looking at it afterwards, I'm thinking, yeah, she's right. You got it. You hit it.
Good. I want people to go, wow, I want to see this. That's my whole mission, I think. You know, if you write something that says, well, it's okay, but you can watch it. It's one of those. I just don't go for that. I just want people to be excited about, oh, okay, I want to watch this. That's the kind of reviews I've been striving for.
And you get excited about the shows that you actually do review in a good way. I can tell through your words and through talking to you that you're excited about them. But having a lot of shows that we do like, both of us like some of the same ones, have you experienced many disappointments in this business here? Personal disappointments or professional?
Well, my biggest disappointment was I joined the Television Academy, and then I found out, oh, I can't vote for actors. And I'm like, you could have told me before I spend all those time trying to find somebody who can write a letter of recommendations. So that was the biggest disappointment. And the other one is that I go to all of their meetings and stuff, and every time they find out that I'm a TV critic, they usually tell me I don't watch TV. And I'm like, okay, so why are you a member? I mean, if you're not passionate about what you do, why are you even here? That's really, and they usually tell me, oh, I always wanted to produce a film, but I couldn't. So it's like, okay, so you think TV is inferior to film? That's my greatest disappointment. That Television Academy members think that this is their second best organization.
Well, you sit up at the front of for the viewers. We have these huge dark ballrooms that we are in for 2 to 3 weeks, twice a year. And there are lines and lines and rows of tables with microphones. And you sit at the front. So the actors see you all the time. Is there anything special that comes up to you afterwards and talks to you or remembers you in the future? Like, I remember you. You sit at the front there.
A lot of people do. But especially when somebody is fairly unknown, and can I name names?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Taylor Kinney. He was in a fashion, I can't remember the name, one of those kind of soap opera show. And when he got his first network job, he was in Trauma, NBC Trauma. And when I recognized him, and I thought, but he wasn't in the pilot. So after the session, I went up to him and I said, I loved you in that show. And I'm so glad that you are in this show. And he just wouldn't let me go. He just held my hand all the time. And he said, I want to introduce you to my publicist. I want to do your, interview. And I said, that would be lovely. So, that's the kind of reaction I get. And now he's one of the big deal, Greg Berlanti, when he came to our, I think it was a CW, no, maybe it was I can't remember, WB show, Jack and Bobby. Do you remember that show?
Yeah, Jack. Was it WB, CW?
WB, I think. Yeah. He was fairly unknown, and he was so nervous. And I was the one who was sitting there right there up front, and I was like nodding and kind of cheering and smiling. And so after the session, he just came right back to me and he said, thank you for your support. I really, I was so nervous, but when you smiled at me and when you nodded all those things I said, I was like, okay, this is the person I have to latch on to. So I always consider myself a welcoming party.
I know you have some favorite actors that I don't know if I can name names, but I want you to name some of your favorites that you've seen through the years in different incarnations and different characters. Can you think of anybody?
Oh, well, my dreamboat is Kyle Chandler.
I knew that was okay. Yeah. Anything with Kyle Chandler, that is for you.
Yeah, anything. And I don't think he has picked anything bad lately. I didn't like that Godzilla movie. That was awful. But anyhow.
Bryan Cranston, wasn't he? Didn't you do something with Bryan Cranston or not?
No, because I never watched that show.
Oh, okay, folks.
Because it's too violent for me. Yeah. And also I got to go to the Friday Night Lights set in Washington. I mean Texas.
Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, Austin, Texas. And the other one that I was very memorable was the Good Wife set visit. And what else? And I did a Cold Case set visit too. I spoke to every single one of the cast, and I even talked to one of the hair and makeup of Lily. She's one of the leading character, because she had a very different type of makeup, looks like a Japanese doll.
Ooh.
So
has anybody ever been really rude to you when you're interviewing them? Because that's happened to me. I mainly not for TV, but for films. I've had a couple actors that have been extremely rude. But have you had that experience?
The only thing I can think of is somebody who was rude to a young guy from Australia. He brought a stuffed animal from Australia as a token of, appreciation for doing this. And he just said, what am I supposed to do with this? And he just threw it away in front of him.
Oh my.
And he came out of the room crying. And I said, okay, the game is on. So, so I just sat down and I asked him a very, very philosophical question. And he was like, oh, and he couldn't answer the question. And I thought, gotcha. And, whatever you put out comes back to you.
Yes.
So that's my philosophy.
Well, is there anybody, we got to wind up in a few minutes, but is there anybody that you have not had the opportunity to interview yet that you are?
Oh, I have a bucket list.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I still haven't talked to Matthew Good.
Oh yeah, he's nice.
Is he? I hope so. I love him, but I've never had an opportunity to talk to him. I like a couple of English actors that like in the last couple of years that just were breathtakingly wonderful. And I wanted to talk to those people, but I never had an opportunity. Who else?
While you're thinking about that, okay, would you want to go back to Japan now, being that it's not exactly the same country that you left? I mean, it's progressed, but do you feel like women have more opportunities here?
No, I don't think so. They like to put everybody in a box.
In Japan.
And yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you don't fit in that box, they just don't trust you. So I would be categorized in somebody who totally turned American, difficult. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
I speak up, and they just don't know how to deal with that. So I'm not looking forward to it. But you know, I may have to go back. So
We want you to stay here because you are really a fine asset to the television critics.
oh, thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you whenever we have that. Right now we're doing it all virtually, which is very strange. But actually, it's easier because you don't have to drive and you don't have to put shoes on, and it's much easier.
There you go. Yeah, I found it much easier because I don't have to deal with all those obnoxious photographers.
Oh yes.
I don't have to deal with annoying bloggers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's less distraction, and I thought I would hate it, but I just loved it. So I don't mind doing that.
So did I. I even wrote to the publicist, of from PBS.
Yeah.
I said, I really would not mind doing this all the time because it's easier for us. We get the transcripts. We can work with it. We see the people on our screens, and we're able to ask the questions that we need for our articles or our stories. It works out really well.
Yeah, so did I, because I thought PBS did such a fantastic job.
PBS is one of my favorites, especially on their TCA, because they have the journalists, the critics in mind when they do it, and they just bring phenomenal actors and shows. They put on shows for us, and it's really nice.
Yeah,
well, I really, really appreciate you coming on today. I mean, this is
thank you for having me.
I think the viewers get to see a little different side of the television critics job that we do, and you're being bilingual and working for Japanese outlets in America is a different aspect than, I couldn't fathom the idea of writing something in 2 different languages and trying to explain something that doesn't come across as is over in another country. So you do a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I really enjoy what I do. I will do it for free. That's what I keep saying. But it's really, that's at this point, that's not an issue for me. If you give me an outlet and if you don't try to control me,
right.
That's the key. So
express yourself, and it comes through in everything you do. And where can people go to read some of your articles?
In Japanese, it's tvgroove.com, and they have. I'm in the you can't find me on the first page. You have to go to columns, and you will find me. It's called Hollywood Now. Hollywood Now.
And you also are in familychoiceawards.com. She does contribute a little bit to the TV entertainment section for that. But thank you, Meg, and thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time when we take another look beyond the red carpet.